Hello.
I'm tired. Hello, everybody.
All right, let's do it again. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello. So hopefully you watched the last video where we created our new mini game, which hopefully we're going to put out, and we're thinking about Congregate for that. And this time we are going to talk about how it fits in with our bigger games. So, like I was saying earlier, or in the last video, that this guy is, or where I'm moving it, is what's supposed to be our main game. And our main game is going to have this guy, little dot, that's going to be on a map, which is going to essentially try to find the boss battle. And the reason why we got to get the boss battles is to figure out another piece of the story so that you can get to the eventual win.
Yeah.
And we have how many bosses? You remember?
No.
No, I think we have like about four or five. And so as David was playing this, he kind of liked the fact that you could move in between here without ever having an event happen. In this case, these blue events are going to be someone's going to attack you. So we're going to have a little fog of war around here, so it's going to be a little bit hard to see this. In fact, we might even make some of these blue guys invisible so that you don't know you're running into anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's still a chance that you might actually make it to the thing without touching it.
Yeah.
But it's a very small chance.
Right, it's going to be a small chance, right? And this is also this. What color is this? Is this green?
That's
There we
green out green.
Oh, right, light green. So this green is going to actually be a map on a real game. We're just keeping it light so I can put dark colors on here and see how they work. So this changed into this guy where I am moving around. One difference between this game and that game, obviously, not only just you start off with less encounters. It's bad to actually hit these guys, so you lose when you do it. But also, if you look, right now, if I take it here, you start and you end, or your goal are going to be in different spots. So as you can see, this moved up here, and this guy moved to the right a little bit. So the question becomes, as this turns into a different game, can we use different things from it, right?
Yes.
And the first one is, yeah, maybe we want to randomize or move our bad guy around. It's certainly good to randomize the encounters so that every time somebody plays a new game, they might get the same map, but they're not going to get the same bad guys in the same places. So just so it gives it kind of a fresh feel. So we could use this randomizing of the antagonist. Oops, this is the antagonist and the protagonist. We definitely will use the randomization of that. And we'll do that through classes. So classes, you know what classes are. David's taking programming now. Have you got up to classes yet?
Yes, I'm in a class.
Yeah, you're in a class. Classes are just a way, or one of the reasons classes were created is so you could break up code. So you could write a code in a really long file, or you could break it up into a lot of little files. And then you can actually use those little files over and over again. So this randomization of the bad guys, these little bad guys, can be used not in both. In fact, I use the same program in both of them. I don't copy and paste the code. I actually use the same exact file. One of the other things that we fixed, so as David used to like this, is that if we started over here,
oh yeah,
we could go out and then bring our cursor around here, and all of a sudden, we're back.
Oh yeah,
that was a glitch. And in this game, it doesn't make sense to allow that. In our game, if you ever play Pac-Man, you can do that. You can go out one side and come in the other side.
Yeah, but you can't come any side you want
to. Right, that's true. You have to go through a certain side. So for our game here, I didn't feel like that would be good, because you'd have to think about this as the entire world, and we're not going over the entire world. So in other words, if you keep going east from New York City, you eventually end up in New York City if you keep going around the world. But in our thing, we're not doing that big of space. So what I did was I created just something that forces you to not be able to do it. So now if I try to drag it around and drop it, it's not going to work.
It just stays on the other side.
And I'll get to employ that class. Well, I'll take that same class and employ it to our game.
Okay. Yeah.
So some other stuff that we did for our game, I don't think we're going to do the happy and sad faces for our game, especially if we make these blue dots invisible. What's the point of even putting in animation? But we are going to be able to drop. I made this, as you can see, it kind of glows on and off, whereas the bad guys kind of flicker. Just so you can pick it up easy. So in the real game, we won't have a smiley face, but we might have like a little human being or something.
Like, I don't know, like for Halloween, there can be like candy there.
Oh yeah, you're thinking of this end, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like for the good guy in this game, it will eventually be replaced with not a dot, but just like maybe a soldier, since like our guy is a policeman, former soldier.
Yeah.
In this game, what David's saying is we're going to replace this dot with
holidays.
Yeah.
Basically.
And what
Like,
holidays nearby?
What holidays nearby? A lot of holidays. President's Day.
President's Day. So I could have a picture of Lincoln or George Washington
Or
here.
Trump.
Or Trump. Yeah, you'd have to get to Trump through all these things.
Yeah, I don't think I would like to get to Trump.
You never know. He might give you $5 or something if you get to Trump.
Yes.
But so that would be good. And like we have a little heart for February or whatever. That I think will stay only in this game. I think again with there's no point if we make these invisible. We might not actually do it.
What's the point of an animation if you can't see the animation?
Right, but yeah, but in this case, we might actually want to go after the boss. So the boss might actually show up. We might actually keep this.
Like you showed the boss,
Yeah,
but
we
you
keep
don't
them
show
visible.
the other.
Right. So in that case, we could replace these two dots. So instead of this being a dot or this being Trump, we would change this guy into like whatever the boss looked like. Like remember we had a snake and then and a couple other things.
Snake and the alligator and the dragon, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And that's not really a class that we could actually do that within our software. That's just a visual thing. So there's some other things that we did or that I've done to improve it. As you can see, each time we go up and win, they put more and more pieces on the puzzle that we could come back to. The other thing you might notice is that every time we go, we get a change in screen color, which we could employ into the game, but I don't think we will.
No, probably not.
And there's a couple other small things that we do with the images, like if you look at this guy versus this guy should be a little blurred. I threw a little blur on everything just to kind of smooth stuff out. That will probably employ, and again, we'll use the same exact class on each one to kind of make sure that these things look a little smoother on this, because these are just such small images.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose them, right?
Nope.
And we don't want them to look all splotchy or craggly or whatever. Right, David?
Right.
So that's just some of the things we've done thus far, and we'll probably keep working with it. Like I said, I probably want to polish this game. We already found a flaw in our last video, so
We found long flaws, and there's always more flaws to find when you fix one.
yeah. And then of course we're going to dress this up, which means we'll probably make even more flaws. All right. So anything else you got to say before we head out?
That Oreo is cute.
Oreo is cute. All right. Say goodbye, Oreo.
Bye.
Bye. See you later, everybody.